I'm beginning to get you in focus, Mosby. You know, Ellen talks a lot about you. About the kind of guy you are. Oh,
hey, I didn't come here to talk about
what
me.
a great athlete you were, but you were different, you were brighter, you're more sensitive.
Let's just stick with you and Ellen.
You even told me how you were left by your parents when you were very young, and you were brought up by relatives.
Knock off the
What kind of
goddamn
effect
crap,
that
Ellen.
had on you, and how you always...
I don't want to know what she told you about me.
Should. It's a clue, isn't it? I mean, isn't that what you do? Look for clues. Didn't you track down your parents and find them, Mr. Keene, tracer of lost persons?
Don't swing on
You're
it,
sure
Miller.
that you weren't trailing Ellen when you saw us? Well, come on, take a swing at me, Harry, the way Sam Spade would.
Chris Scouser here with
Matt Howell. And what was that stinger, Chris? What was the significance of that stinger?
that was from oh good God, what was his name? The guy who just passed away, and then in a movie that I just recently saw after Gene. See now, here's my problem. It is I'm very upset that you're blowing up my spot like this. So it is that I have to get up from my desk. Is that what I have to do right now? It's the one where he plays the private detective who specializes in finding missing people, and it just released by Criterion in 4K. Night Moves. Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. And one of the guys who plays the person his wife is having an affair with, Harris Yulin. Got it. He just passed away.
Okay.
He was. I don't know if I should have used maybe the opening from Ghostbusters 2. He plays the judge.
Oh right, yes.
He's one of those guys where he's like, oh yeah, that guy. He's one of them.
One of those character actors, right? I'm sorry I couldn't help you out with the title, because obviously if I'd known what it was, I wouldn't have asked you what the stinger was from, because what the significance of it was. So thank you for enlightening me.
First off, it's not a stinger; it's an obit. The obits run at the beginning. The stingers are at the end of the show. So you're gonna make me look like an ass. I'm gonna throw it right back in your face. You wanted to keep a tight ship tonight, so I don't know why you're doing this to me.
I mean, sometimes I just want to know what it is. Sometimes I don't recognize it, and I want to know what it is. And maybe the guests would like to know as well. That's all.
Watch Night Moves, folks. It is a great little neo-noir film. Gene Hackman doing top shelf work in it. And while Matt does his intro, I will look up and see if it's available to stream anywhere. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Well, this week on the first run, we go back to a universe that Danny Boyle and Gareth Edwards has put together with 28 years later. We're going to see, do they recapture the magic? Are we still scared of fast zombies? Is it as good and tight of a film as the original was? And hopefully maybe slightly better than the not so bad sequel that came out afterwards? We're going to find out. As always, we'll give you the big releases on physical media, the Viper video and streaming picks of the week, and then we'll move into a doozy, folks. The next round of our horror bracket. Chris is already rolling his eyes.
Oh, good God.
It's the 1980s, which I think I know where the top end of the brackets are going to kind of play out, but it'll be interesting to see the full scope of what we include on this list. I think that's going to be the harder part.
I agreed. Night Moves is available to stream on the Criterion channel right now. So if you have that, you can watch it. And again, like I said, Criterion put out a 4K of it. I'm going to tell you, I don't own it, but I've read a couple reviews about it, and I am unimpressed with the transfer. I mean, the detail is great, but it has a different color timing. It is, which I don't care for. The Warner Archive Blu-ray, I think, looks to be more authentic. So honestly, if I were you, I may just switch with the Warner Archive Blu-ray and not the Criterion 4K.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you for taking the time. I didn't mean to make you look like a jerk. I just had a question. I'm sorry. Anyway, why don't you give us a little bit of 28 years?
I promise. I just finished mowing our lawn like half an hour ago.
Did you? I finally broke down, and my wife was like, "Why don't we just get a guy to do it?" And I'm like, "You know what? That's fine. Yeah."
I'm not making Matt money, so I don't know what this. Just let's get a guy. So good for you, I guess.
You have guys? You have people who come and do stuff for your house, don't you?
We certainly do. Hey, you want to talk about 28 days later?
Yeah, can't we? Let's hear a clip, Chris.
Wait, sit here. Say, Auntie, what's going on?
Jimmy, sit still, keep quiet, and do not move from the spot.
Seven, 6, 11, 5, 9 and 20 miles today, 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't look at what's in front of you. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge in the war.
So, Matt, that is actually from the trailer, and I think you may lose some of the impact because you don't have the visuals there. But look it up on YouTube. But I didn't want to include it because I couldn't really find any clips that had a lot of talky stuff in it. So it's like scares and stuff, which don't really work as well in an audio medium. And plus, too, the effects, the sound you hear there is actually pretty integral to the film a lot, too. It has a very unique use of a score in a movie that I found really interesting and really a high point of the film for me. But yeah, that's why we chose that.
Fair enough. Why don't you give the fine folks a breakdown of what 28 Years Later is all about?
All right. Well, not to spoil anything, but it's 28 years later from 28 Days Later, and Britain, the UK, basically is entirely quarantined. And there are a group of people who live off of an island there's a bit of a land bridge, but when the water, when it's high tide, you can't really get to it. It's in the Scottish Highlands. And Aaron Taylor Johnson and his son, who I believe just turned, I think is 12 in the film.
Yeah.
His name is Spike. He is ready to go on his first patrol as they kind of forage for food and goods and stuff like that in the mainland, separated from their little island. And it's a bit of a coming of age story, but there's a lot more going on in this film and then just a traditional, as I said, coming of age story / horror film. Matt, for me, I think Boyle and Garland here have a few things to say about family, love, that coming of age stuff I mentioned, Brexit, the failure of the ruling class, and Jimmy goddamn Sable. Plus zombies hanging dong. But that seems to be the focus.
Fair. All right. Very good. So I guess what's the big question is it been too long? Is it too late to come back to this? Is this as effective as the first one was?
Well, the first one was a very lean, though maybe it kind of starts to drag a bit once they meet up with the military. But prior to that is just a very lean, breakneck kind of zombie thriller, purposely shot in low definition. And I rewatched both films prior to watching this again. And I still enjoyed 28 Weeks Later, though I think it's a little weaker than I imagined or remembered it being at the time.
Sure.
It's still good, but 28 Days Later is still very good, very efficient, very intense, scary, and a lot of fun. This may be the best sequel of the bunch, out of the three of them, I think. And I don't think it's been too long. In fact, I like the idea of us checking back in with this 28 years later, this universe, 28 years on, and seeing what's happened. The rest of the world basically is okay. And it's just everything's kind of quarantined in London. There are boats, I guess there's patrols by various EU members who kind of rotate around to make sure nobody gets away or escapes from the island who's still there. But they've basically been left behind. And I think this is really, the Garland and Boyle really, like I said, have a lot to say, I think, about Brexit. That's all over this film. And I have a little bit of an insight into it because a few years ago, back during the initial Trump administration, I started listening to James O'Brien, who, and I don't do it regularly, but probably maybe once every couple of weeks or so, I'll listen to a couple episodes, maybe once a week, who knows. But he's on LBC, which is a British broadcasting thing. And you can watch him on YouTube. You can listen to his show online as well. And I do have some issues with O'Brien. He's kind of a mainstream lib, and he didn't really stand up, I think, for when they fired Sanjita Miska, who was one of their other hosts who got tanked because of, I think she's a little outspoken, correctly, about what's happening in Gaza. But independent of that, started to listen to his show because it was nice to hear about how crazy shit goes on in other countries as well. It's not just us where everything's falling apart. And I learned a lot about kind of what was happening with Brexit over the years listening to his show. That's why I can kind of really pull a lot from this. And also I want to recommend Amber T wrote a really interesting article about this too, which helped kind of crystallize some of the thoughts I was struggling with. That's available on Fangoria's website. Is it Fangoria? I was interacting with the guy on Blue Sky, and he pronounced it Fangoria.
I've always pronounced it Fangoria.
Okay, well, I'm going to assume that I'm correct. I'll put a link to Amber T's article in the notes for the show too, so you can read it. But yeah, I guess I've thrown a lot at you, Matt. What are your thoughts on the film?
Yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about the film. I think it's almost like a film in 3 parts, right? So it's like kind of a traditional, intense horror movie in the beginning, right? They're kind of going into the wilds. They don't know what they're going to find. They run into the infected. Then you get kind of a family drama, coming of age piece in the middle. And then at the end, it's more of a kind of meditative thought on death and what comes after and all that kind of stuff, and those who go on. So it's almost like it's 3 different films with varying degrees of success. I think it's a lot that they throw up here. I think it is stronger than 28 Weeks Later, but I still think I prefer the straightforward, lean horror film that is the original to this. Although I do appreciate that they seem to, like you said, have a lot to say. Now, maybe some of it kind of went over my head. I'm not super familiar with Brexit or any kind of the political climate in the UK, but overall, I think it's a kind of ambitious return to this universe. And, despite my nerdy questions that I asked to myself that since in any of these, how this would really work and why this would really be a big deal, overall, I think I was entertained throughout.
So before I kind of dive a little bit into the Brexit stuff, let me ask you, what do you think of the different monster designs? We have the slow lows, we have the alphas and the hog. What were your thoughts about the shift in air quotes zombies? Because technically they're not really zombies, right?
Yeah, I think the slow lows were definitely very creepy. They looked like something out of a Tool video, and the alphas. I mean, I guess the idea of like a smart zombie, right? One that's got more of its faculties is, something scarier, right? I don't know if they give it really enough room to breathe other than the fact that it's, oh shit, here's an alpha kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, I will say this about the dong. I did read on Reddit per UK rules, because there were children on set, that the main actor, the Spike, he is underage, that all of the nudity is fake. Essentially everybody's wearing a prosthesis around their genitals, or in the case of women, their breasts. So there's no real nudity on here. So just keep that in mind as you're looking at the ridiculous dongs flopping around through this whole thing.
I'm sure if I'm the guy who's playing the alpha, I'm not telling that to anybody.
Sure. Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah. I mean, you know what? Might as well put it out there.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I also enjoyed. So the slow lows are kind of these large, bloated creatures who basically crawl around on the ground, right, and kind of slowly will try and stalk you. And there's also little families of them as well. And then the alphas also have the traditional pack of people that follow him too. And yeah, I think it was an interesting idea. I think it was fun. I like the fact that there are still some of these out there that have continued to live, because I think in one of the 28 Weeks Later, something, a lot of them like die of starvation at one point too. So I guess you need to have a way for them to evolve or to survive at some point if we're going to make a film 28 years later. So
sure, yeah.
I think that's fair. I also wanted to mention the score. I recently started getting into, I know he's got a new album coming out, but I just listened to David Byrne and Brian Eno's My Life in the Bush of Ghosts, which is a great little art rock album I've really been enjoying. And I kind of like this score kind of followed in that same way, where we're introducing various like talking elements, like you heard in the trailer, that are actually part of the score that I think really do a great job of ratcheting up the tension in this and keeping you off balance throughout the film. And the score itself, independent of the talky parts, I think is very effective too. And then the British Brexit stuff, I think, which is really interesting. And I think you don't really have to be that attuned to it to get a lot of what's happening here. So there's a doctor, that's Ray Fiennes' character, who basically the small community group that is, holding up on this little kind of remote island in the Highlands. It was ostracized because they found him doing something really disturbing. But when you actually encounter him, he is in fact a voice of empathy and compassion, and really the only one in the film. So it's interesting to me because if you say have a group of people, say Brexiteers, who want to withdraw from society, they think that the influence of a greater European Union is actually bad and you're losing what the core of Britain is. What you'd want to do is drive out empathy, which is what problem we're actually dealing with here in this country as well. And that's what Fiennes' character represents. Now, there is certainly something a little off with him, but he is the most grounded, I think, and empathetic character in the film. And he represents a core emotion that many people, I guess, that either participate in Brexit stuff happening here now, just don't appear to have. Also, too, the party scene I think is really interesting because for me, Matt, I don't know how you feel, is one of the most claustrophobic scenes in the entire film. Even the celebration, the sense of community, Matt, can be suffocating. And again, for me, that was kind of like a nod to Brexit. People trapped in a situation perhaps that they didn't vote for. They're surrounded by these people that they can't get away from because they're stuck on this island, right? And even a community will illustrate the values that help a society thrive. That I think, so it's a weird kind of double-edged thing here where it's kind of the yin and the yang of that whole thing of being in a community, but being trapped by it as well. And I like too that the EU soldier, was he Swiss? I can't remember if he was Swiss.
He's Swedish.
Swedish. Okay. Crazy Swedes. Again, another nod because he is desperate to get out of that quagmire. He desperately wants to get out of England because of what's happened there. I just think it's really, I don't know. I found a lot of interesting stuff. And then the Jimmy Savile stuff too. So at the end of the film, there's a scene that's caused a lot of controversy. I'm curious about what your opinion is, Matt. So Spike decides to go out on his own, right? And kind of discover who he is. And he is about to basically be killed by a bunch of rogue zombie-ish guys. And he's saved by a bunch of tracksuit wearing, gold chain, gold ring wearing, like bleach blonde weirdos. And that's basically what the film ends. So just so you, in case you don't know, they actually filmed the sequel to this they filmed it back to back to this. So it's actually going to come out, I believe, in January of next year. And in the 28 days later universe, that happens prior to Jimmy Savile being exposed. And if you don't know who he is, you can Google him, but basically he was possibly the most notorious pedophile in the history of the United Kingdom. And these guys all look exactly like him. And I'm really curious where the hell this film's going to go with the sequel. There's supposed to be a planned trilogy, but with the sequel to that, I'm dying to see what Garland and Boyle's ideas are for that. What were your thoughts on the rescue part at the end that's caused a lot of controversy? Some people are like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. I mean, I was a little taken aback by the fact of who they were these guys were kind of emulating, right? I guess it makes sense in the timeline of the story where those kind of allegation things didn't really come out, right? I guess the role would have ended before all that stuff was found out, right? But I have to understand, with all of this stuff, right, that they had about Brexit, they have to know exactly what they're doing, and it's gonna play into some future plot. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and we'll see what happens, because it's obviously something very intentional.
Yeah, the guy's name is Jimmy Crystal. He's a leader of the cult called the Jimmies.
Yes.
Again, inspired by Jimmy Savile.
Right. And all of his followers look like they were 15 at most.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. Matt, give me a score for 28 Years Later.
I'm going to give it a B.
All right. I'm right near you. I'm at a B+.
Fair enough.
28 Years Later, as the kids like to say, is currently in theaters. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Oh yeah, it was released by the original was released by Fox Atomic. What a great little name for like a little horror offshoot studio from Fox at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad they abandoned that. That's a fun little thing. Too, Jack O'Connor, who plays Jimmy Crystal at the end of the film, he
Yeah.
played the lead zombie in Sinners.
Oh, interesting. Didn't know that.
There you go, folks. Little trivia for you. All right, let us know what you think. Now let's talk about what's coming up on physical media this upcoming Tuesday, July 1st. Oh, crikey, already in July. All right, wow, this is a heavy political episode. So the clip you're about to hear, it was based roughly kind of satirically, not so much on a air quotes alleged rapist president. Not the current one. Not one of the original OG ones. Not the one from the 60s. The other one.
And how many of you work jobs that just pay the rent no matter how many hours you put in? I see. Yeah. My mama worked jobs like that after my dad had died. I remember her coming home from work just bone weary. You know what I mean. And I know she wanted to play with me and ask me about school, but sometimes you're just too tired to do anything but heat up a TV dinner and blob out in front of the tube.
You got that one right.
There you go. And I don't have to tell you how hard it is to be looking for work. Hey, I don't have to tell you anything about hard times. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something really outrageous. I'm going to tell the truth. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking he must really be desperate to do that. But if you had to swallow enough garbage.
You can say shit, we're X-rated.
Yeah, me too, if you believe what you read in the paper.
That's right. Mike Nichols' Primary Colors, which is a bit of a satire or spoof or something, basically, on Bill Clinton's campaign. Travolta played Governor Jack Stanton, of course, was Bill. Emma Thompson was Susan, which was Hillary. Billy Bob Thornton was Richard Jemmons, which was James Carville, and more. Being released in 4K by Shout Select. Brand new 4K restoration. Commentary by critic Drew McWeeny and Elaine May, biographer Carrie Kurgan, and a couple new interviews as well included on that. And Matt, just so you know, that was our number 4.
4!
Our number 5, I'm just mentioning it because it's coming out. I don't think you should watch it.
Number 5?
Because it's bad. And that's Death of a Unicorn. Includes a Dolby Atmos audio track, audio commentary, some deleted scenes, and a featurette. I was really surprised by how bad that film was. I did not care for it at all. If you liked it, I guess more power to you, but not for me. Not for me.
Get 3 coffins ready.
Huh?
Oh, Matt, I watched my 4K of Fistful of Dollars from Arrow.
How was it?
Gorgeous, baby. I loved it. I was so happy. I have for a few dollars more, and of course, unfortunately, they delayed Good, the Bad, and the Ugly till I think August. So we'll have to wait for that. But I was really, really pleased with that release. They did a nice job on that. The Big Heat being released by Criterion. This is a 1935 version, brand new 4K restoration of that. New audio commentary, a video essay, and some archival interviews, as well as one with Michael Mann and Martin Scorsese, if you've heard of them.
I have 2 words: perfect love and perfect trust.
Another Shout Select release, Matt. Oliver Stone's Alexander Revisited, the final cut, being released in 4K. Includes an all-new commentary, as well as an archival one featuring Oliver Stone. The new one is by film critic Matt Zoller-Seitz. And I've never seen Alexander. That's the one with Colin Farrell. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have. Talk about hanging dong. It's a interesting film.
Okay, good to know. And then numero.
There can be only one.
Warfare. This is the film co-directed by Alex Garland with the writer. Was it? I don't remember. Raymond. I don't remember. I apologize, folks. But Warfare being released by A24. It's going to be a Blu-ray. I think it's just a Blu-ray. I don't know if there's a 4K. But it includes a commentary by Ray Mendoza, Alex Garland, military consultant Brian Philpott. From what I understand, it's not much of a film per se, but more of an experience of what this group of soldiers in the Iraq War trying to escape from a village. And it's supposed to be very intense. If you like Civil War and now the intense fight scenes and all of that, you basically have like 90 plus minutes of that here. So I remember really, really blown away just by the sound design of Civil War. I would like to catch up with Warfare at some point, but I also kind of struggle with it. It feels like slightly exploitative to me. I don't know. Matt, your Viper video pick of the week. I'm going to go with Garbage Night. Die-Star Pictures presents a revolting, ridiculous anthology of absurdity and ooze. When the sun goes down and the trash comes out, Garbage Night begins. From the warped minds at Die-Star Pictures comes a putrid platter of horror comedy shorts that will leave your brain bagged and your guts curbside. Garbage Day. I don't think I have that on here anymore. Matt, what should we be streaming this week?
Well, in honor of 28 years later, I'm going to recommend that you check out the first two in the franchise. 28 Days Later is available on Pluto, only place it's streaming it that I can find, but at least that's free, but you will have to suffer through some ads. And 28 Weeks Later is available on Hulu. At least they front load their ads at the beginning.
No, that's good. Yeah, I believe Boyle's working on a 4K release of 28 Days Later, which I can't wrap my head around given the quality of it, but all right, that's fine.
Garbage Day!
Oh, it's still in there. It's on the soundboard.
Wonderful.
All right. Matt, let's break my heart and try and nail down what we're doing for our Horror Madness countdown, spar off, whatever. I don't know what it is, but we're going to figure out we're tackling the 80s next. And here's one that I think wasn't going to make the cut for me, but we'll see how Matt and I kind of work it out.
The box. You opened it. We came. Oh no. It is a means to summon us.
Who are you?
Explorers in the further regions of experience. Demons to some. Angels to others.
It was a mistake! I didn't mean to help it! It was a mistake!
We can't. No. You solved the box. We came. Now you must come with us. Taste our pleasures.
Please, go away and leave me alone.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
That's right, folks. There's the Hellraiser for you. Are we going to get a physical release of the 2022 one? I remember really kind of enjoying that. I'd like to
I don't know. I did miss the boat on the reissue, I guess, by Arrow from Hellraiser for the first one. I'm very upset. The only place you can still get it is if you buy all four, and I don't really want to do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's too bad. Yeah, I have the limited edition core quadrilogy set. It came out. It's really sharp looking. I watched the first one too. It looks fantastic. It's like, I think I told you at the time. It's like I've never seen the film before.
Right.
The picture quality is that improved over the Blu-ray that I had previously had. All right, Matt. Well, I'll give you like the first batch that I have, and then we go. You can tell me yours, and then we kind of go from there.
Okay.
I have I have Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, The Beyond, the Fulci film, Possession, Day of the Dead, The Evil Dead, Shining, and The Thing.
Okay.
I didn't leave. I don't have. Well, let's go ahead. What are yours? What are you thinking?
So I also had Nightmare on Elm Street, so we can put that on there. I also had The Thing, so we can put that on there as well. And I also had The Shining, so we can put that on there as well. Where I diverge slightly, I did have Hellraiser on mine. I also had An American Werewolf in London, which I knew was going to be a controversial pick for you. I have The Fly. I put Evil Dead 2 over Evil Dead, although I probably could be talked into putting the other one on there, but I went with Evil Dead 2 as my first exposure to that franchise. Near Dark, and I think that's it for the actual list. The rest of them was, contenders or honorable mentions, but it's a long list of contenders.
So no Poltergeist for you.
I thought about it. It is kind of the ultimate PG-13, even though that rating didn't exist, horror film, right? I could be talked into putting in there, but it wasn't on my first pass.
Same with me. Scanners, Reanimator.
Both of my honorable mentions. I think they're a little niche-y, right? And I don't know. if Scanners really feels like a complete horror movie to me, right? And that was kind of on this as I'm going the list is like, are these things really horror movies? So I didn't put that one on there, but again, very, very good. I just they didn't make my cut.
All right, and then I wouldn't expect you to have Dead and Buried, which is one of my favorite cult horror films. Sleepaway Camp either, though. Not honorable mention either.
An honorable mention, but not one to add.
And then you have stuff like we didn't even bring up, like The Dead Zone, The Lost Boys, Slumber Party Massacre,
Fright Night, The Fog, The Howling, The Blob,
a bunch of the Friday the 13th movies, The Burning,
Demons, Creepshow,
My Bloody Valentine, Fright Night, Prowler. All right. So we agree on Nightmare on Elm Street and The Thing. Did you say Friday the 13th or no?
I know the one that we both said was The Shining.
Right. Yeah. All right. So we have The Shining here as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to put my foot down on Friday the 13th. I don't think it's a good movie. I don't understand people's love for Friday the 13th. So if one has to go, that's the one I would choose.
That's fine. And honestly, I would probably match it up against Nightmare, and Nightmare would beat it. Yeah. So I think that's fine to do. American Werewolf in London. Yeah. The Fly's too. You know what? I think we should have The Fly on there just because how goopy and gross it is. I think that's fine. You got to have some Cronenberg representation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's put The Evil Dead up here and kind of sit on that and see which one we want to go with. And of course, we can rearrange how we want to do these. And we got 2 more to go. So then you're left with Near Dark. Near Dark's good, but I don't have the same esteem for it like I do The Beyond or Possession for that matter. Or yeah. How familiar are you with Possession? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen Possession. It's on my list of things to see. I've seen The Beyond, but I haven't seen Possession. So I remember you saying it's very good.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to take then the Possession will have to come off, I guess. So what about The Beyond? What are your thoughts on Fulci's The Beyond? His masterwork?
Yeah, I think we should include it as the masterwork of a horror director.
Okay. So then, what is going on? Why is this thing flipping out on me? Okay. All right. So then we still need one more.
Yeah. So, all right. So on my list, that was still
American Werewolf in London. Is basically the one that's not here.
Right. Right. All right. So this is what I had on my list that we haven't talked about. Return of the Living Dead. Poltergeist, Fright Night, The Fog, Lost Boys, The Howling, The Blob. Even though I don't know it doesn't belong in the bracket, I put the stuff on there as an honorable mention because I like it.
That's a good pick too.
Yeah, Demons, Scanners, and Creepshow. I am inclined to either put Poltergeist on the list as like that kind of PG-13 kind of more not gory horror, but it's still scary, or to put on Creepshow as due to our love of anthology films.
I think we should focus more between either Poltergeist or The Blob. I think The Blob is. I'm very upset that I totally forgot about it. When it comes to gore effects, it's one of my all-time favorites. It's so well done.
I mean, The Blob really does have a mean streak in it, so I'm fine with putting it on there. I really enjoy The Blob a lot. I mean, other than the fact that it's a remake, I think it's kind of biggest, knock on it or whatever. But man, The Blob is mean. It's a mean film.
So, should we? Then what about The Beyond? You want to keep that, or would you rather do Poltergeist over that?
I would rather keep The Beyond. It seems like the more appropriate entry in this.
Okay.
And that's weird because I really like Poltergeist, and a lot of people really love Poltergeist. But I think The Beyond is the way to go.
All right, so are we good with this? Nightmare. So we have Nightmare on Elm Street, The Thing, Day of the Dead, Shining, The Fly, The Evil Dead, The Beyond, and The Blob.
Yes.
All right, so let's arrange it. Who's going up against who?
All right, so I'm gonna say The Thing and The Fly as two body horrors, or The Thing and The Blob as two alien kind of things.
Hmm. Thing. I guess. Oof. Yeah, I don't know. Let's move on from that one. Let's just do another one instead.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so then what do you think? What do you think next?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having trouble kind of matching them up against each other.
So how about in the haunted building category, we have The Shining and The Beyond?
Okay, sure. Let's do that. All right. So The Shining and The Beyond. Oh, geez, I wonder how that one's going to go. Okay. And then you want to do so if we do zombies, we do Day of the Dead and The Evil Dead?
Yeah, even though Evil Dead's not really zombies, but it is close.
That's right. Yeah, it's possession. What am I talking about? It's possession. It's not zombies. The Beyond has zombies.
Maybe The Evil Dead goes with The Thing for possession?
Or you could do The Evil Dead with Shining, because that's possession as well. Isn't he kind of possessed by
the hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Day of the Dead and The Beyond have zombies.
Yeah. I'm fine with Day of the Dead versus The Beyond.
Okay. All right, so The Beyond versus Day of the Dead, we got that done. Then we have maybe should it be no, they're both monsters. The Thing and The Blob would both be monsters, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good times. I hate editing this. I'm glad it's your week to edit, because doing this part sucks, because you got to cut out all this air. All right, so then are we good with this?
So do we want to put The Evil Dead up against The Shining? And just have The Fly and Nightmare on Elm Street be together?
Sure. So it's Evil Dead and The Shining. And then Nightmare on Elm Street, and you said what? The Fly?
The Fly, yeah.
Oh, I messed that up. Okay, so what we're looking at then is The Evil Dead and The Shining, The Beyond and Day of the Dead, The Fly, Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Blob versus The Thing.
Right. So we have the possession bracket, the zombie bracket, the I guess maybe we could squint and say Nightmare on Elm Street is a kind of body horror, I suppose. And The Blob and The Thing is our monster bracket.
And they're both aliens too.
And they're both aliens, right?
All right, works for me.
Okay, very good. All right, so Evil Dead versus The Shining, Christopher.
It's The Shining. It has to be The Shining.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But it pains me to say I love The Evil Dead. Matt's not as big an Evil Dead fan as I am.
I'm not. No, I'm not as much.
I do love me some Evil Dead. So that one is painful for me. Where do you come down? Same, right?
Yeah, the same. Yeah, I would say The Shining over The Evil Dead.
All right. And then what, The Beyond or Day of the Dead?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think I would go with The Beyond. I think the Day of the Dead. I think it's his weakest entry, right? And I think it is by far the most gory, and it's also by far the most nihilistic and like downbeat of it, right? but it's just more of a slog than the other two are. As much as we enjoyed, I enjoyed Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead.
Okay, that's interesting. I think that you're right that the Day of the Dead, the gore effects in that are unsurpassed and still hold up to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the Italian horror geek in me, I think I'll go with The Beyond. I think you're right about that. Why not? Why
Okay.
not? There's some people that think Day of the Dead is the best of the franchise
Yeah.
too, but
Mhm.
fair enough. All right. The Fly or Nightmare on Elm Street. The Fly is great because it's all gooky and gross and deeply unsettling, especially when the baby's born.
Mm-hmm.
But that first Nightmare on Elm Street film, I think, is still very, very scary.
Yeah.
And Freddy is an iconic character,
Mm-hmm.
much more than Brindle Fly is. I guess I'm gonna go with Nightmare on Elm Street on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Nightmare on Elm Street too. I think that whole sequence when she falls asleep in the class and it slowly shifts is still one of my favorite sequences in 80s horror. And it's the 80s. It feels wrong not to have at least one slasher make it through, even though he's more on the supernatural side of the slasher. But yeah, I think Nightmare on Elm Street really holds up.
And then the Blob and the Thing. Well, come on. I love the Blob, but buddy,
yeah,
I watch the Thing at least once or twice a year.
Right.
I do the same with the Blob, though. Now I think about it, I probably watch it once a year.
Yeah.
But the Thing is just the score, everything about it is just John Carpenter. For me, it's his masterpiece. It's the best thing he's ever done. So, so we all know where this is going: The Shining or The Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
It's The Shining.
Yep.
Nightmare on Elm Street or The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's The Thing.
Yep.
I think this was always going to be where we ended up. For me, you could give me 100 other horror films.
Yeah.
And this is where I would have ended up.
Mm-hmm.
Shining versus The Thing.
Right. Right. I mean, and you know what? Honestly, as we kind of worked through our decades here, and it'll be interesting because the 90s is pretty lean. I mean, the 90s kind of sucked. There's a few standouts, but the 90s were not great as I was kind of looking through the list. But that's kind of true the whole way we've gone through here, right? You know, for the most part. So I personally think that it's The Thing. With the practical effects are so good and the paranoia is so palpable throughout the whole thing, whereas where you watch Jack Nicholson kind of descend into madness and it's done by a master in Stanley Kubrick, it also feels very cold, whereas the Thing seems very visceral and like in your face the whole time, and like you're like right there with them.
Yeah. I love The Shining. I watched it a few years ago for the first time with headphones. And it was like an entirely different experience for me. For all the times I've watched that film, I never realized or heard there's like background ambient stuff in that film going on all the time.
Really?
You don't really even kind of hear. Like the scene when he first gets to the hotel and he's talking to the caretaker guy or the manager of the hotel, there is like subtle like Native American like chanting going on in the background of that I don't think I ever identified previously. And there's little things like that throughout the whole film. So yeah, and it's just unrelenting, The Shining. It's very creepy, very, as Matt said, very cold. And but I don't know if it's nostalgia. I don't know what it is. The Thing is one of my all-time favorite films. So, and I watch it, like I said, many times. I love the score. I love everything about it. The Who Can You Trust, right? All of that stuff. And I have to go with The Thing. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's for me, that's what I have to go with, respectfully.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a controversial opinion. I think that's right.
Yeah. So there you go, folks.
The Shining is a film that horror fans love, but people who don't like horror movies also really love The Shining. But The Thing is a horror fan's horror film.
Yeah. Yeah. From Beyond, we didn't talk about Prince of Darkness. We said it's just Life Force, which I adore.
Yeah.
So many great movies. But there you go, folks. thing for the 80s. Next week is the 90s. Good Lord, am I not excited about that?
Like I said, there's a few standouts that I think it's really, I think we'll be reaching to kind of fill out the rest of the bracket.
We'll see how that goes. In the meantime, what do you think? What's your favorite 80s horror film? Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, what do you want to do about next week? There's 2 films coming out.
Mm-hmm.
How's your schedule looking? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm off next week. I was just off last week, but I'm taking another week off. Whatever. It's like a 2-week vacation with a week in the middle, right? A week break, back to work. So yeah, we're slated to watch F1, the Brad Pitt racing film, which if I'm being honest, I could take or leave, but I feel like if we need to watch it, we can watch it, right? And then we're going to watch Megan 2.0 as well.
Well, if you want to just do Megan 2.0, I think that's okay. Though I'm hearing good things about F1. We can talk about it, but yeah. All right. In the meantime, you can check us out at thefirstrun.com. You'll find archives of all the old shows. There's a little player there. Just hit play. You can start listening to the shows as well. The report card, you can see what we gave other scores and more. It's all there, folks. And then head over to Apple Podcasts. Give us a review. It'll help other people find the show. We're also available on YouTube and Instagram and Blue Sky. Just do a search for The First Run. Scroll. Eventually, you will find us. And I guess, Matt, that's going to be it. So we want you to take care of yourselves. We love you all very much. And we'll see you again next week. Sic Semper Tyrannis, as always. Bro.
Shut up! We're gonna get you. Not another peep. Time to go to sleep. We're